We've really tried it all. We've been shoestring backpackers, we've done the luxury travel thing, and everything in between.
We finally came up with a happy medium and a budget that will let us keep traveling as long as we like.
If you're new to our channel, I'm Gillian.
And I'm Stephanie. We're a couple who retired early and now we travel full time. And we want to inspire you to have more freedom and more adventure in your life.
To everyone following our journey, it is great to see you back. We're still here in Malta enjoying the beautiful Mediterranean. And today we're going to be bringing you along for a walk by the water.
So, if you're watching this video, you're probably interested in kicking off a big adventure of your own. So maybe you have a plan already, or maybe it's just a dream.
Either way, there's one practical matter that you just can't avoid. How much will it cost?
If you've already tried digging into the numbers, you've probably discovered how confusing it can be. So there are a million travel blogs and vlogs and websites to look at, and they all say something different about how much it costs to travel the world.
Well, we hear you. We were in the same situation just a few years ago. We were ready to say goodbye to our corporate life and finally see the world. It was our chance to go see all those countries on our bucket list.
But we had no idea how to budget. Our only experience with budgeting for travel was adding up how much we spent after a 2-week vacation. So that wasn't going to be helpful at all planning for our trip of a lifetime.
And now here we are today. We've been traveling full-time since 2019, even despite the pandemic. Along the way, we've taken a ferry up the Bosphorus in Turkey. We've walked the walls of Dubrovnik. We've watched the sunset over ancient monasteries in Greece.
But it wasn't all sunsets and beautiful experiences. We were travelers in 2020, so that means we ran into quite a few difficulties as well.
During the first wave of the pandemic, we had to take a rescue flight from Italy to Canada. Then we had to hunker down for a few months in Toronto to wait out the international lockdown.
This was pretty hard on our wallet, with Toronto being Canada's most expensive city. But amazingly, through it all, we've managed to stick to our budget.
So how did we go about coming up with a budget that could work for this whole crazy adventure? Okay, well, it started by being realistic about how we like to travel and what makes us feel happy and comfortable on the road.
Now, when we first met, we had very different approaches to travel. Gillian was super frugal. She was all about the backpacker lifestyle, so travel to her meant camping or staying in hostels or taking an overnight bus ride to save $1 on a hotel.
Well, Stephanie, on the other hand, had much more refined taste.
Yes.
She looked for boutique hotels with fancy breakfast. Let's just say that her travel budget was a little different than mine.
So back in the early days of our relationship, we were living in Canada, and we had the standard number of vacation days a year, and we would just take that one big trip every year. These trips were such a big deal to us. We would plan every single detail months in advance.
Then we moved to Singapore, and our entire concept of travel changed. We were working in Singapore as expats. We had more vacation time, we were making more money, and we had the whole region of Southeast Asia to explore.
So we started off with low-cost weekend trips. So we would book a budget flight and throw some things in a backpack. Then we'd have a weekend in Malaysia or Thailand or Vietnam. In those days, we didn't mind just having a cheap bungalow on the beach. We were just so excited to be exploring the region.
Eventually, our trips became more elaborate and a lot more expensive. We went camper vanning in New Zealand. We did a hiking trip in Japan. We even popped over to Europe to explore the Baltic countries.
All our travel experiences were amazing and so memorable, but the way we were traveling by the end of our time in Singapore wasn't financially sustainable as a lifestyle. So if we wanted to travel full time, we needed to do things very differently.
What we needed was a travel style that would be comfortable, but also affordable. We knew we didn't want to camp out in hostels, but we also knew that we couldn't afford to live in 5-star hotels.
After a lot of discussion and research and even a little soul searching, we finally came up with a middle ground that would work for both of us, and it's a travel style that we have today.
We've become slow travelers. We spend a month or more in each country before moving on to the next one. This is very different from our life as fast travelers, when we would try to see the entire country in just a week or two.
Slow traveling is a great way to discover a country, and it has huge cost savings as well. So because we're staying longer in each destination, we choose to stay in apartments instead of hotels.
So this means we pay a lower nightly rate wherever we go, and we get a kitchen. So that means we can prepare our own meals, which is actually something we enjoy doing anyway.
staying longer in each destination allows us to discover it slowly. So we don't need to book expensive tours to see it all in one afternoon. Instead, we can take our time and explore all the sites and all the neighborhoods on our own.
Those are a few ways that we like to keep costs low, but at the same time, we're not afraid to spend on things that are important to us. For example, on travel days, we like to make life as easy as possible, so we're happy to spend more for a direct flight versus trying to save a buck by taking a bunch of connections.
And even though we cook our own food, we also like to splurge a little, or sometimes a lot, by trying the local cuisine.
All of these wants, needs, and preferences have a direct impact on how much we spend each month. So we've created a budget that totally covers our everyday living expenses, as well as any splurges and any emergencies that might come up.
The secret to our budget is that we have been really honest with ourselves about how much comfort we need. About how much comfort we prefer to have for our life on the road. So before we started traveling, we were working professionals. We lived in a nice apartment. We want to travel for the adventure, yes, but we also want to be comfortable along the way. We don't want to under budget and then end up sitting miserable in a hostel.
That would not be good for a marriage.
No, it definitely would not. Of course, your budget isn't going to look like our budget. We all have different preferences when it comes to travel.
Before you start planning your adventure, it's really important to be honest with yourself. Maybe you've always wanted to be a backpacker living a minimalist lifestyle, or maybe your trip of a lifetime means luxury all the way. Once you really understand your travel style, it's just that much easier to plan a sustainable budget.
In fact, we've made it even easier. We've created a workbook to help you understand your travel style and budget for your adventure. We've taken everything we've learned from the past years of research and travel planning and just packed it all into this workbook.
It is full of exercises, tips, hacks, resources, spreadsheets too, and it's all there to help you get a realistic budget for your adventure.
So if you are finally ready to plan that trip of a lifetime, you can click on the link right here or in the description below. And we are wishing you many hours of happy planning.